So I am officially on a big book ban. So what is happening is basically, last year I made the goal to read 50 books before the end of the year, and I had a couple pretty serious reading slumps, so I didn't hit my goal. I was a few books shy, and I kind of knew at the end of the year, like, that was okay. I totally understand why that happened. So this year, I was trying again to hit 50 books through the duration of the year. So we are on month 4, we're in April right now, and I am like 5 or maybe even 6 books behind where I'm supposed to be. Not because I haven't been reading, because I've had great reading habits so far this year. I have listened to audiobooks every day. Definitely have only missed like 5 days or less because listening to audiobooks are like a regular part of my morning routine. I listen to them in the shower and while I'm doing my hair and my makeup and while I'm driving. So I listen to audiobooks almost every day, if not every day. And I also read several times a week. That one I do miss, like sitting down and physically reading books. I don't get to do every day, but I definitely do more often than I don't. And I'm still behind because, well, the books that I have been reading look like this. They're just big. And you know what? I love fantasy, and I think that's part of the issue. Most fantasy books are a little bit bigger, and a lot of fantasy series, even if the first book or the first few books are smaller, they tend to get bigger as they go. For example, I'm listening to the Red Queen series right now, and the first book is definitely like an average size. The second book is a little bit longer. I'm getting ready to start the third book, and I'm listening to the audiobook versions, and the third book is 17 hours. So that's probably going to be like the 5th or 6th audiobook I've listened to this year that is like well over 15 hours. And I do listen to them at like 1.5 or 1.75 speed, so I get through them a little bit quicker than the original time, but just these big books are what's going to keep me from hitting my goals. So I'm going to show some love to some little books for the next month at least, so it is April 14th until at least May 15th. I will only be reading books that have 400 pages or less, and I will only be listening to audiobooks that are 14 hours or less. I'm a little bit more lenient with audiobooks. I feel like 12 hours would really be like the same like small book span, but I am giving myself a little bit of a cushion. The only exception to this rule is if I finish the audiobooks that I currently have queued up that are under 14 hours, I might end up going back and listening to the last 2 books in the Red Queen series because I'm already in the middle of that. But I have 5 printed books and 2 audiobooks queued up that all fall under the under 400 page category that I'm going to be reading for the next month. Hopefully I can get through all like 7 of these books. If I do, I will of course add more, and if I don't, which is more likely, Flurry is insistent on being in the video. If I don't, which is more likely, I will probably revisit at the end of the 4 weeks how much longer I want to keep doing this. I have in my head that it might actually just end at the end of May, so I might do this until the very end of May, unless I can get on top of my goals beforehand. So me and Flurry here are going to be walking you guys through my stack of small books that I'm going to be reading over the next month. The link for all of these books are going to be in the description below. The first one, without a doubt, is going to be Namesake. I have been waiting to read this book since it came out in March. I've actually been waiting since way before it came out. I put it on my pre-order list after reading Fable, I want to say in like November. I'm very excited to read it. I highly recommend Fable. I talk about it a lot. It has a little bit of a cliffhanger ending, so I will be diving right into this to see what happens. I'm not going to be reading the synopsis or descriptions of any of these, so you'll have to click down on the link below if you're interested in learning more about the books. So with Namesake, I can give you a little bit of a backstory because I am familiar with Fable in the world, but it is just like a lot of shipping and crewing, and Fable, the main character, is actually a dredger who like digs up precious stones out of the reefs of ships. So it is her journey, of course, after Fable ends, to really like find her crew and find her family. Saying anything more than that would probably be a spoiler, so I'm just gonna leave it there. But highly recommend this series. Very excited to find out what's gonna happen. I have no idea if there's actually a 3rd book or not. I should probably look that up before I break my heart reading this, because if there's not, it's going to be a long wait. So the next book is Kiss of Night. The next 2 books I have, this one including, are older books that I've had on my TBR shelves for a long time. This one was a book that was gifted to me, and the other one was a book that I got from my Forgotten Book haul, which I will link above if you haven't seen it. I bought a whole bag of books in 2019, and the bag got shuffled around until it got put in a closet and totally forgotten about. I just found it like a month or so ago. So I made a video of unboxing or unbagging all of those books and just reading through all the descriptions But this book was gifted to me in high school. I think my sister got it for me. I'm not quite sure. It is Kiss of Night. It is a vampire tale, so I already know it's going to have some cliche and overused tropes because they were new at the time, but now they are very familiar. I will say, as the description goes, I think that there's a chance that this would be rather unique as far as vampire tales go. I'm not quite sure. I have also been watching Vampire Diaries for the first time, and I have really been enjoying it. So this is sort of just like a fun dip back into like the big vampire craze that we had a few years ago. So that was pretty high up on my TBR list as well, just because it's little. I have been eyeing it up over the last couple months every time I walk past that bookshelf thinking it's such a little book. I could just read it and be done with it and then have read it. So that is second up. And the next one, the one from my Forgotten Book haul, is The Evil Librarian. This one, when I was reading the description, parts of it made me think that it was going to be like unique and exciting and interesting, and other parts sounded rather cheesy and melodramatic. So I think that this might be like a guilty pleasure or a hidden gem book. It really could go either way. I'll update you guys sort of at the end of this vlog, maybe with like reviews for each one if you're interested. So if you are, let me know in the comments down below. Flurry is... He just wants played with. He doesn't even want to talk about book. He's just waiting for me to be done. I like the cover of this one. It's just really like pretty and satisfying to look at. So that will be book number 3. I will also say that this is probably going to be the first time ever that I have given myself a list of books in any particular order and expected myself to read them in that order. I'm very much a mood reader. I do have a very long TBR, but what usually happens is I collect like books that I want to read, whether it's titles or authors or covers or recommendations, and then as I finish a book, I sort of just pick the next one based on what mood I'm in. So having a list in an order I'm going to read them in is totally new to me, and I don't actually know how that's going to work out. I might switch it up throughout the month. We will see. The next one is by Sky Horn. It is Wing of Fate. I actually won this in a giveaway. Sky Horn teamed up with another writer on Instagram, and they gave away a writer's goodie box, which was really exciting. I can't believe I won. I'm still like reeling over it, but it was a copy of each of their books, a copy of Stephen King's On Writing, a notebook, some fine tip pens, hot chocolate, fuzzy socks, which ended up being like my favorite socks in the world. Like, I'm not kidding, they're so comfortable. So I'm planning on reading this one, that way I can give her a review and support her platform. I will say, reading the summary, there's some tropes in here that I think I might be too familiar with, but I definitely want to give the book a try and see. Rating reviews for indie authors is probably one of the best ways to support their platform other than buying the book. So since the book was gifted to me, I definitely want to read it and write like a thorough review with like a star rating and everything, because I think that would be a great thank you to the author who has given it to me. So the next one and the last printed book I have is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. I didn't say any of the other authors other than the last two, but they are definitely linked below, and you can always pause it if you need to see them. Flurry is going to start snoring right next to me, I think. Okay, but Sea Witches was actually introduced to me by Fairy Loot, that book box that I get every month. They had a pencil case that they gave away, I think back in September when they gave me my copy of Fable, because the theme was like under the sea. Well, this like case, because it was bigger, I put all of my bullet journal stuff in this, and I carried it all around together in this pouch. He's telling me to be quiet so he can nap probably. But I put all my bullet journal stuff together in this pouch, and it like fit everything perfectly. So like packs of pens, my rulers, my like whiteout tape. It was great. The only reason that I don't use this every day and it's not currently full is because I got a really big organizer for all of my pens on my desk. So I don't always need it, but I absolutely love this. It has become my like charger bag for whenever I travel. I put all of my like chargers and cords and stuff in it. But the quote on the pencil case is from Sea Witch, and it says, "Don't grant all the prince's wishes, darling girl. Men are always asking for more than they should." And I just, every time I read it, I was like, I need to read this book. It sounds so interesting. It has such good reviews. It piqued my interest, and that's one of my favorite things about the book box is not only do I get a book and bookish goodies, but the goodies are always inspired by other books, which then also increases my TBR. So for the 2 books that I have that I'm listening to the audiobooks for, I have pictures of the covers since I couldn't actually have a cover to show you guys. And the first one is The Shadows Between Us, and I am really excited. I have to hold it on an angle because of my light, but I'm really excited to start reading this one. It's been pretty high on my TBR for quite a while. I found out it has a little bit over 350 pages, so it perfectly qualifies for my big book band reading challenge, whatever you want to call it. But I'm very excited to get this started. I have the audiobook, and I'm pretty sure the audiobook is 10 hours. I have heard great things recently about this book, and it has such a pretty cover. And I'm pretty sure it's enemies to lovers, and I love enemies to lovers, so I'm very excited to get this started. The next one is A Touch of Darkness, and I know it's a little bit hard to read the title with the title print. I think that's also due to the fact that it's a little bit blurry on my iPad because it's big. But A Touch of Darkness, it's by Scarlett St. Clair, if you can't see that. It's a recommendation I got off of Instagram. I just keep seeing it pop up. I keep seeing people say good things about it. The audiobook is 11 hours. Now, if I run out of books in the next 4 to maybe 6 weeks, I have a lot of books that I think fit the under 400 category. Not an infinite number, but if you watch my Forgotten Book Haul video, I think most of those books, there might be like 2 that don't. I want to say it was maybe 10 books. I'm not quite sure. Most of those books fit under 400 words. I also can just go on Libby. I love how Libby has like an iPad version and a phone version. Not every app has like both. If you're unfamiliar with Libby, it is an app that you connect to your library. So all you need is a library card. It's free to download, and you can like rent unlimited audio and like ebooks. So in the app, it has like the cover picture and like a full description and whether or not it's offered an audiobook and ebook. The only downside I think to Libby is you're renting a book, so of course you can't keep it. That I feel like isn't actually a downside, but sometimes the waits are long, especially if the book is popular. But they're very transparent about that. They tell you, like what queue you are in the line, and they also tell you how long something will take, if it's a few weeks or a few days. Like this one is available now, the ebook version of Shadows Between Us. So I could actually just rent it out and start reading it now. But the biggest downside is for new books. Whenever new books come out, it's a little bit hard to tell whenever they're gonna hit like Libby's availability. Like I don't know if it's midnight or if they schedule a time. I haven't been able to figure it out. So if you know, let me know, like if you're waiting on a book to come out. Like if I would have requested Namesake at the beginning of March, I don't think I would be able to request it until a little while after it officially releases, and then it gets put into my library system. And by the time I see it, there's always like a huge wait list. Also, with a lot of books, the audiobook comes out significantly after the book gets published. So there are some books that I would like to listen to the audiobook version of that I just haven't been able to find the audiobook on Libby. Sometimes it's because they have like Audible rights and it's Audible only, and sometimes it's just because the audiobook hasn't been created yet. That happens a lot with books from independent authors, because not all of their books do have audiobook versions. But overall, I think it is an amazing platform. Overdrive is also owned by the same company, so if you are familiar with Overdrive, I used to use Overdrive exclusively, but I downloaded Libby just to check it out, and I think the interface is a lot better, so I've been using mostly that. But I really have like an unlimited amount of books, so I couldn't possibly run out of small books to read, because if I ran out in my house, I have a whole internet user face library system full of books right in my hands, which is magical. I love whoever came up with the whole ebook thing. But I will touch back in 4 to 6 weeks with reviews for the books, my thoughts, if this is something maybe I should do every year or every 6 months, just to make sure that I am giving little books some love. Let me know in the comments below what you're reading, what your TBR looks like, maybe your favorite book so far this year. I would be hard-pressed to choose a favorite this year, honestly. I've read so many good books. I think Kingdom of the Wicked is pretty high up there. As much as I love Fable, I did read that last year. I am buddy reading the Serpent and Dove series, so I just finished Blood and Honey. That was an amazing 5-star read, and I'm hoping that quite a few of the books that I'm going to be reading over this next month are going to be great 5-star reads. So if you are here, make sure you hit the like button, and please consider subscribing. I post writing-related content twice a week with the occasional reading love video like today.